And anything that I did that I know would get on the news, I always make sure that he was the first to know. I made it a point to call Angie Martinez and tell her, nah, I gotta go up on the show so I can apologize to my son for I know what he heard.
Welcome to the Rap Dad Show, the only show where we pull up on artists, wherever they may be, have them hop in the Sprinter, and talk all things fatherhood. I'm your host, Esteban Serrano. I'm a television producer, director, author, and a father of 3. Today, we're parked up in an undisclosed location to talk to Jim Jones. Jim's relationship with his son is well documented. I'm curious to know how fatherhood impacted him, how his relationship with his now 20-year-old son has evolved, and how he communicates with his son when he inevitably makes headlines. My guest today on the Rap Dad Show goes by many names and wears many hats. He's an artist, he's a director, he's an executive, but above all of that, he's a rap dad.
Jim Jones, Rap Dads, take 1.
First memory of fatherhood.
When he was being born, because I got locked up the day he was being born.
Oh, wow.
Word, and I had to go crazy on them niggas in the precinct. Tell them I'm gonna start a riot. They better check my name. Telltale. I didn't really end up getting out of that and being able to see him being born. And
Wow.
That wasn't me. That was by the grace of God. He puts you through so many things, but he already know the outcome to the movie.
Where were you in your life when you became a dad? What was going on in your life?
I was at a very scary time of my life. I was doing a lot of stuff that I wouldn't encourage anybody to do. I was outside, as these kids say.
Yes.
I was very much outside. You could Google a lot of the things about Jim Jones, and if you want to learn more about what I'm talking about. But yeah, it was a very scary time for me. And when I had my son, it's kind of one of the things that saved me and put a different perspective on what I thought life was.
Word. What do you think the biggest impact fatherhood had on you as a man?
Responsibility.
Word.
That's the most important word in my household, or the most important word for me and my son is responsible. You have to be responsible for your actions out here.
Please welcome my good friend Esteban Serrano is here, man. Esteban!
Listen.
I'm really proud of him for his new book, The 10 Dad Commandments, Fatherhood Through the Lens of Hip Hop. Let's go over some of the commandments.
Ooh, let's do it.
Commandment number 1, know your role.
Know your role.
What is a father?
You cannot fulfill a role that hasn't been defined.
Right.
Okay.
So if you don't know what those responsibilities are, what those tasks that you need to be over are, how you going to do a great job?
Commandment number 2, watch the company you keep.
Fatherhood, especially for me, was a great excuse to evaluate my company and see who was adding value and who wasn't adding value. But also, who do I want to have access to my sons?
Yeah.
Commandment number 3 is protect.
The big part of that chapter for me is teaching my sons how to protect their peace. That's paramount. One of my favorite viral Jim Jones Rap Dads moments was that day you had to discipline your son because he was late to school, he overslept.
Had to be on daddy duty today. Had to take this nigga phone today. This little nigga here. This little nigga decides he wants to wake up at 9:30 for school when he's supposed to be out the house at 7:30.
Talk about Jim Jones, the father, like when you have to be the disciplinarian.
It hurts every time I have to be a dad. You know what I mean? Every time I have to act like a father, it hurts because I know it don't feel good for me. It don't feel good for him. 9 times out of 10, if I'm disciplining, I'm taking something away from him.
Right.
It ain't like when we was younger. You go to jail if you
Talk about
discipline your kids too much. So you got to find different ways that count just as much as some stern, some belt whips would have did.
Word.
Because they used to whip our ass when we was younger.
That's a fact.
But yeah, I mean, in these new times, kids got a whole new way of thinking. So you got to kind of think on their level. And I know phones and being on internet and all that is one of the most important things to these kids.
Right. How would you describe your relationship with your sons? Because a lot of my friends see me and they always describe my relationship as like my sons are my homies. Like they the little homie, I'm big homie. How would you describe your relationship?
We got a great relationship. As he gets older, you know, he's turning into his own man, and he's understanding what his identity is. I ain't too much of the cool pops as I used to be.
Stop.
But he loves my hustle. I've been showing him different things about how to get to a bag, and I'm watching him do his numbers and listen to the advice I'm giving him, mixing it on with his own advice. So but we got a great relationship. Been watching him grow, just watching him grow up, man, into a man. And one of the most important things I wanted to know if he would understand was the hustle, because
Absolutely.
a hustler doesn't mean you selling drugs. And I know his back wasn't against the wall. It wasn't urgent for him.
Yes.
He didn't have to go through any of the things that I ever went through from since he was born. So it was a bit different. So you want to make sure that your son grabs certain things, and he definitely got the hustle in him. So I'm happy for that.
That's dope. Growing up where you grew up, growing up where I grew up, I'm from West Philly. We have kids and they're in a way better position and in a situation in life than we ever were.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever struggle? Because I did at the beginning of my fatherhood journey. Did you ever struggle to kind of simulate the street or the environment you grew up in so that they can get that wisdom and those spidey senses in them?
No, because my mom's is so hood.
Okay.
So she's so hood, so it was like, them lessons that I thought he would miss, he definitely got from being around my mom.
That's beautiful. Word.
And I say that in a great way.
Of course.
She's a loving soul. But she helped raise me. She helped turn me into a man, so she knows a few tricks. And I do believe she gave them all to my son.
Word. It's time for a Rap Dad tip. And today's tip is brought to you by one of my favorite rap groups of all time, the LOX. The name LOX is an acronym that stands for Living Off Experience. And that is wisdom for us fathers. When you start to develop your fatherhood style, remember to live off experience and tap into those moments when you were a child and your parents could have been more understanding or more present or more supportive. Now, the name LOX, when they developed that, they were thinking of their own experiences and putting it into their music. We can do the same with our fatherhood journey as rap dads. Dope. So you mentioned earlier too, if people wanted to know more about the early days of Jim Jones, to just Google, what you would. Have you ever had to have a conversation, or if your son ever came to you and was like, "Pop, man, why am I hearing this?"
Nah, because everything that goes on, I always straightforward with him.
Nice.
I mean, he understood. He understands my life. You know what I mean? As he got older, he understood it more. And anything that I did that I know would get on the news, I always make sure that he was the first to know. Like I had got in trouble in Atlanta some years back, and the picture they was trying to paint was way wrong, and I've never done any type of drug besides weed in my life. I haven't even experimented with it. But I had an injury and they had to give me some Percocet pills, and they made it seem like it was something different. So I made it a point to call Angie Martinez and tell her, "Nah, I got to go up on the show so I can apologize to my son for I know what he heard in the media, and I know when he goes to school that shit reflects on him." So a lot of times I was explaining to him to talk him off the edge so he can know who he is in the position of my life, and these are the things that you're gonna have to go up against. And he handled a lot of things very good. A lot of things I know he went through that he never even bothered to mention to me. I know it was hard going to school and you have a dad who's successful, a dad who's famous,
Right.
and a dad who's always in the fucking news and media for some shit. I mean, so, but he held his own. He handled everything good going to school. Glad he got his diploma. Gave him the option when he got his diploma about college or working. He chose to work. Teach him the difference between being a boss and working for a boss. And he's learning as he's doing both right now. He actually has a job that he goes to a few days out the week. And then he has his own clothing line that he started with a partner of his and is doing extremely well. He's been selling out all his drops and things like that. So, he's learning life.
That's amazing. I remember the day when my oldest son, he's 19, when he was a junior in high school. And I was telling him, like, yo, junior year is the year that colleges look at. So if you're going to go to college, you really need to make sure that you focus this year. And he was like, if. And I'm like, yeah, man, if you going to go to college. He was like, wait, you're not making me go to college? And I'm like, no, I want you to do whatever you want to do. But if this is the route you want to go, then I want to make sure you're prepared for that. What was your kind of thought process behind not pushing college on him?
Because I didn't go to college, and I became very successful. I know college, a lot of college is full of shit. You know what I mean? They put you in debt, teach you how to be a robot, work for somebody else.
Agreed.
Kill your dreams, things like that. But it's great for community. It's great for kids to go to learn how to be in their own environment and dealing with people, grown people on a daily basis. That's like a pre-world into the real world. That's what I understand about it. That's what I feel I miss most about not being able to go to college, but I became successful while others were going to college and things like that. But there's a lot of things that you can learn from being in college without having to learn any education.
Yeah,
but
man,
for the most part, the world is different now. It's not like when we were coming up and they shoved certain things down your throat and we didn't have access to all this information when we was coming up. And there's so many hustles and ways to make money. It's way different than it was back then. And if you would ask me this question maybe when I was in high school, my answer would have maybe been different. Like, yeah, college is something that everybody needs to do. This is what they're preaching to us and things like that. Whether, you know what I mean? And I had my spat at it. I made a promise to my grandmother, so I went to college for like a semester. It didn't work out. Cam called me in the middle of my class, like, man, get out of there, man. We got something better to do. And he was right. It don't always happen like that for people, but I gave my son the option just because it can happen for anybody.
This interview ain't over yet, but I wanted to let you know that this is just a piece of a longer conversation you can check out on the Rap Dad Show podcast on all platforms. I don't want you to miss gems like this. What was your relationship like with your pop?
I didn't really have a relationship with my pops like that.
Okay.
I knew all pops was. I know him daily. When I was young, I got to see him a lot. As I got older, maybe 12, 13, probably haven't seen him just from 13 until about 26, 27 when we did our Rockefeller deal.
Like I said, genius running our family. Pardon the scruff. We made the studio, built the booth, downloaded Pro Tools, and I got a new engineer, which is my son, and this is our first session.
Another part, of watching you parent, or you had him engineering for you in a session. What are some of the ways that, you bring him along and you teach him, but you also are spending that quality time?
It a lot depends on what he's interested in and the things that I think might interest him will be the things that I try that we can do together. He's a genius when it comes to working on a computer, as so many kids are, as they're born into these computers, so it's a bit different. So anything that has to do with the computer, I have him helping me with. So that's how he started to help me put together the house studio and was engineering for me and figured that out and things like that. So all those type of things, like when I do pop-ups, he got his merch line. I make sure he come out with me. I got business meetings, I take him with me. I try to keep him included in a lot of important things so for him to gain knowledge on certain things in life.
Word. So your son is 20 now, right?
Yeah.
What dynamic do you guys have right now?
I don't even, I wouldn't know how to put it, but I know he's getting older, so a lot of things that I used to love to do to him, and hug on him and kiss on him and all that, he ain't jacking none of that shit.
Right.
But we got a great dynamic, like, I try to lead by example as being a father. So every day he sees me get up and go out and work. That's where he get his hustle from. He see every day I get up and work out. He gets up every day and go work out. That's where he gets his discipline from. He's very observant. I guess he gets that from me because I'm very quiet, especially around people that I don't know.
Right.
I won't say a word. And he has a lot of my traits as he's growing into his own self. So, these lessons that I've been instilling him throughout his life, I'm just hoping that he can pull them out when it's needed as he gets older.
Was there a moment in your relationship where you realized that you had done a good job as a dad and that he was like ready to take that step from being a boy to a man?
I'm still being a good father.
By the way, you're always going to be.
I'm still teaching him a lot of lessons for him to make that transformation from being a young man to becoming a man, because he's not a boy anymore.
Right, for
you know
sure.
what I mean? But he's not a grown man yet neither. So he still got a lot of lessons to learn. He could live with me forever if he wanted to. Sidebar. And I don't mean that in no type of way.
Right.
You know what I mean? If that's what he chooses. But when he starts to get a family, that's when you have to
leave the nest.
Yes. You know what I mean?
Facts.
So I hope he understands the opportunity he has by being able to stay at home with me and use that to his advantage, saving money, doing all the business he can do,
right.
Everything he can set up and possibly do until it's his time to actually leave the nest, and wherever he go, he have all that situated before he even get there. So get his credit up, do all these things now while he's in the house with me. I mean, and go from there. And I'm not saying he can't. I'm not saying if he wanted to move out tomorrow, he can.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I'm not pushing him out. But at the same time, I don't want people to think that he's getting a free ride, because as he get older, he has to take on more responsibilities in my household.
I love that.
You know what I mean? Like, you got to start to kick in. May not be nothing.
Word.
You heard? And it's not like I need it, but it's the responsibility of the action that he needs more than I need it. You heard? So if he knows that, damn, I got to pay my pops $400 this month, you heard? Like, it's cool. You're going to have to pay something for this car. You're going to have to pay something for the crib. You're going to have to pay something for the goodies. You eat us out of house of whole.
Facts.
This nigga eat a bro. I would think he got brothers the way this nigga eat. Like, damn, we got to start getting, you heard? But these are lessons you get to teach these kids while they are at home. So when they go out, they're not just lost in the world because they were spoiled. And, you know what I mean? Like,
man.
So it's like, I don't never want people to think, like, it's a method to my madness, and I'm not just giving that man a free ride. I'm on his head top. Every time I get a chance to, anytime he fuck up, I'm on his head, and he knows it. You know what I mean? So he tries to eliminate that side of me being on top of him. You know what I mean?
By doing the right thing, by staying straight.
Yes.
That's what's up. Rap Dads, thanks for watching. I know you got some gems from this episode. If so, hit that like button and share your favorite takeaways in the comments. This is just a taste of a much longer conversation you can find on your favorite podcast platforms. Tap in with us on social media. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. For fly merch and updates, check out rapdads.com and join the mailing list so you're always up to date. And remember our mantra, what's best for my child wins. God bless you and your family. Peace.